I'm Rob Rossi, Trib Sports columnist, with the men who finally had their mission complete. Beat reporters Jonathan Bomboli and Bill West. Look, I've been where they are. It's fun, it's exhilarating, it's exhausting. And these guys, they don't get to sleep anytime soon. Pittsburgh's going to party. Jonathan, let's start with you. The Penguins were a team this year. This might be the most team-oriented group that has won the Stanley Cup. How did Mike Sullivan pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's probably the greatest trick that he accomplished after taking over. And I think you really saw that with the Conn Smythe book. I thought that the idea that Sidney Crosby was necessarily the best player in the playoffs, maybe he was, but I think what he really was a representation of a team effort. And I feel like he was the captain of a 12-man unit up front and a 6-man unit on defense, and all three goalies played in the playoffs. Sullivan getting the stars to buy in, and the young guys, the new guys, to sort of step up. That combination, it just proved lethal in the playoffs.
Now, Bill, I remember having you on my radio show telling you I thought they were done when Evgeny Malkin went down, and you were like, no, this team's going to be fine. I've been wrong a lot, everybody.
It's a good time.
But but one of the things that struck me about this squad, Bill, is they play defense the way you play defense in the modern NHL. And it would have been very tempting for a lot of us, people like me, to look at this defense and say, hey, this is never going to work. But the way the Penguins play defense, their puck possession, I think more than any series we saw in the final, how that really came to fruition. What did it take for them to be able to pull that off?
You needed a lot of defensemen that can move the puck, and you need forwards that are willing to forecheck. They went out and got Justin Schultz. They had Trevor Daley, certainly guys like Ovi Mata and Chris Letang do it naturally. So when you have enough guys that go back and get the dump ins and move it back up to your forwards before the opponent can set their forecheck and really create chaos, you spend a lot of time in your offensive zone or in the neutral zone. That's really what it came down to. If you keep the puck, the other team can't have it and they can't score. So they went out and got a lot of guys that are comfortable handling the puck. And in this modern NHL, you are seeing more and more defensemen that have that ability. They got rid of guys like Rob Sperry, who, as you said, are kind of previous generation and aren't necessarily built that way.
When you guys look at this team, it came together so quickly. I joked with Mike Sullivan on the ice. Is he going to, looking forward to his first training camp with the Penguins?
Right, yeah.
It strikes me as maybe we should enjoy and appreciate what the Penguins were able to do here, because this is special, what they were able to bring together. From each of you, if you have one moment from this cup run that sticks out, or even the season, Jonathan, what sticks out to you?
A couple of things. I think games 6 and 7 against Tampa Bay stick out to me. I mean, that being down 3-2 after the game where Marc-Andre Fleury came in and lost, that was the real adversity. You can't make it this far without adversity, and that was it. They were, backs to the wall cliche. They really were, and they came out and played 2 really solid games against Tampa Bay, and I feel like Brian Rust's contributions in those 2 games really stand out to me. I mean, that was a kid who came up who really made a difference.
What about Eric Fair's fight?
I always joke that Eric Fair's fight against Brandon Dubinsky in the regular season, standing up for Sid, was what turned the season around. And it's a joke amongst us, but I don't know if it is a joke, because that showed some guts. And like I said, to get through 2 months of the playoffs, you got to have guts too.
Well, you have to have a lot of jokes there, Jessica Parker. But Bill, what do you remember about? What will you remember about this group?
It still sticks out to me the first couple games against New York, because if you recall, the Rangers were able to have some success. They were able to get some shots, and they weren't supposed to be a very good possession team, but they were possessing the puck. And I remember everyone kind of wondering, okay, is this the same old Penguins team that freaks out in the playoffs and gets away from what they do? But they corrected themselves. They got back to what Mike Sullivan has been pushing all along in terms of this identity. I always talking about possession, playing with speed, being deliberate and smart with the puck. And, of course, ended up taking care of the Rangers. And from that point on, I'm not sure we ever saw them stray from that identity. They just played exactly the way they were supposed to.
Before we wrap up, I have a question for you, Rob. You've been a critic of this team for 6 years. Are you shocked that they were out there on that ice hoisting that trophy again tonight?
I am not shocked once the playoff run started. I could see what you guys saw, but I had no preconceived notions that this was the type of team that could win. I give Jim Rutherford a lot of credit. I think we saw this year a general manager do the toughest thing a general manager can do, fellas, and that's change his course midstream. He knew where to go, and whether that was because Jason Bottrell and Bill Guerin and all the guys on that staff, Mike Sullivan, I think, had a great say in this. But yeah, I'm shocked, and I think I gained an appreciation, and maybe Pittsburgh did too, about how hard it is to win this thing. You know, when I started covering the Penguins during the beginning of the Sidney Crosby era, it was said that they were going to win multiple championships. Well, you know what? They have. And over the years, we have seen the Penguins have a lot of ups and really quite few downs. But what we've seen is an organization that I think gets back to its roots. They are a Penguins team that plays to score, plays to thrill. When it all comes together, it's beautiful. And guys, I don't know what you'll remember from this 20 years from now, but I'll remember the moments we had on the road along with photographer Chaz Pala. This is fun for us. It's been fun for everybody. We all would have liked to have seen it happen in Pittsburgh, but it happened in San Jose. And hey, Bill, if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, the road's the place to do it if you're the Penguins. Right?
That's the way they've done it every time.
Hey, we are going to be following up on all the off-season stuff over the coming days. They're going to have draft and free agency coverage. I did all that for a long time. It's their turn. You'll want to stay with the Trib all week for your Penguins news, also for the U.S. Open stuff that we've got coming. For Beatmen, Jonathan Bomboli, Bill West, ace photographer Chaz Pala, I'm Rob Rossi. We are your Trib Stanley Cup Championship covering Penguins team. We're out.